everybody, welcome to another video. Hope you're ready to flex those brain muscles and make some brain gains. Today we're going to talk about how to factor the difference of two squares. Now what this means is this is a special way that we can factor a binomial, right? And specifically it's a way we can factor a binomial of this form where we have the difference of two squares. So what this means exactly is that we have to have something squared minus something squared, right? So if we have a binomial that fits this general form, then we can rewrite it as a minus b times a plus b. And this is multiplication, a minus b times a plus b, so the order does not matter. So you could flip these and write a plus b times a minus b, and that is the same thing. That's perfectly okay. So let's just quickly note that the sum of two squares does not factor. Don't try to factor this, only the difference of two squares factors. So we need something squared, and a minus between them, and we can factor it. So the best way to learn this, I think, is just to go straight into an example. And we'll see that the hardest part about factoring the difference of two squares is identifying what A is and what B is, right? And I think once you get that part, you can just go straight to this formula, but sometimes it's a little tricky to identify what's being squared. So let's look at this example. In this case, x squared, well, that's just x squared, right? Not too tricky. And in this case, 16, so I gotta think, what do I square to get 16? That's usually what I think to myself when I'm using this difference of squares formula. What do I square to get 16? So I write the 4 there. So now I have my a is x, my b is 4, and now I just plug x in where a is and 4 in where b is, and that will end up being the fully factored form. This will be the fully factored version of this binomial. So let's check our answer. Let's prove and kind of see why this works. Okay, so if I FOIL this out, I should get right back up to here if I FOIL this out, as long as I did it correctly. So let's see, x times x gives me x squared, x plus 4x, that gives me plus 4x, and now I do this minus 4x minus 16. So what I have here is x squared plus 4x minus 4x. These middle terms will cancel, right? These middle two terms cancel each other, and I'm left with x squared minus 16, which is exactly what I have here. And this is why this works, and this works anytime you have something in the form where it's x minus something and x plus that same something. Those middle terms will cancel out, and that's why this formula works. So let's go ahead and see a couple more examples, get a little bit more practice. All right, so we got another example here. We're going to go ahead and try to factor this. And it may be hard to look at it in first and see that it is a difference of two squares, but it actually is. And let's investigate a little and see if we can find out what our A is and what our B is. So we got to think, what can we square? What can we square to get x squared times y to the 4th? Well, let's see. X times x, that gives me that x squared. Right, and what can I multiply by itself to get y to the 4th? Let's see, y squared times y squared, that gives me y to the 4th. And so if I distribute this squared in here, I get right back to x squared times y to the 4th. So this is my a in this case, right? My a is x times y squared minus, let's see, this one's a little bit simpler than this, right? A little more straightforward. What do I square to get 49? I can square 7. 7 times 7 is 49. So now I have my A and my B, and I'm simply going to plug in for A and B into the difference of squares formula, and that will give me the final factored form of this binomial. So let's see, xy squared minus 7 times xy squared plus 7. And again, if I FOIL this out, I should get right back up to here. So if you want to check your answer, but yeah, this is the final factored form of this binomial. And we'll go ahead and do one more example real quick. Alrighty, we got our last example here. We got 16x to the 4th minus 81. And we're going to fully factor this, alright? So we can notice that we can rewrite this as something squared minus something squared. And these perfect square numbers should usually give it away. When you see the 16, when you see the 81, if you see something like 49, 25, these are the kind of numbers that should have you thinking, okay, I think this could be a difference of squares. So let's go ahead and see if we can rewrite this as something squared minus something squared. So let's see, what can we square to get to 16x to the fourth? Well, I can square 4, and that gets me to 16. And then I can square x squared. Let's see, x squared times x squared is x to the fourth. So that should give me right back to where I was. So my a in this case is 4x squared. I can rewrite this. This is a little bit simpler, right? I can rewrite this as 9 squared. So my a is 4x squared and my b is 9. And now I'm going to go ahead and plug these into this formula. So let's see, my a is 4x squared. That's going to be minus b, that's 9. And then I have 4x squared plus 9. Okay, and normally we would be done. But we have to notice here what we have. We're asked to fully factor this. And what we have here is another difference of squares, right? I think I can rewrite this as something squared minus something squared and factor this even further. So I'm going to go ahead and try to do that. Let's see, what is my a? What can I square to get 4x squared? I think it would be 2x. So my a is 2x. And what is my b? 3, right? 3 times 3 is 9. So I have my a and I have my b. So I can rewrite this using this formula. So I'm going to go ahead and write it off to the side so I have a little bit more room. So my a is 2x, my b is 3. So I have 2x minus 3 times 2x plus 3. And this guy's still chilling out here, right? This guy stays. This is a sum. This is a sum of two things that are squared, and we already said that we cannot factor this. So this just stays out in front. And this is the final factored form of this binomial. All right, that's it for this video. Leave any comments, questions down below. Thanks again for watching, and keep making those brain gains. See you next time.